Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to effectively take apart your DJI Inspire 1 quadcopter and then paint it custom. I'm using matte black with some red and some yellow. I have two of them that I'll be painting today. One a Pro and then the other just a standard edition Inspire 1. I should advise you that you may be tempted to paint your the camera that it comes with, but I warn you not to do that, because if you open it up, you're going to void your warranty, and there's a lot of little wires in there that you do not want to break. So do this at your own risk and make sure that you know what you're doing before you do it. But it's not that hard. You'll see if you follow the steps of this video, you'll see that even a hack like myself can paint the Inspire and make it look halfway decent. I'll try my best to walk you through it. But if you have any questions, feel free to respond to the comments below, and then I'll get back to you. All right, let's get painting. So I'm going to show you how to take apart the quadcopter. Right now, you're looking at all the parts you need to take it apart. You can get these at Home Depot or Lowe's. You know, I have a 40-piece set with a bunch of star heads, and we're going to begin taking it apart. So first, I'm starting off with the battery. Notice that I'm showing you that the battery top is already taken off. You can use two credit cards on each side, and then a standard head screwdriver to pop those two clips on the back. But just be very careful when you're taking that lid off, because as you can see, there's wires there, and if you pull it off too quickly, you could damage the battery by tearing those wires. Notice that you're very gentle when you're pulling it off. Once again, there's 4 screwdrivers, and make sure when you do take that off that you put all of the lids and the screws in a place where you won't lose them. Okay, so there we go. It came off pretty easy. And notice on the back you have that plastic, clear plastic piece. I'm using a standard head screwdriver to just take off some of the clips from the bottom. And if you use a screwdriver and just push down on it gently, that plastic will pop out so that you can actually paint the top without getting it on it, and the lights while the device is pairing can shine through. Also notice the sandwich bag. I use to throw in those screws to keep them together, and then some electrical tape that I'm actually securing around the battery, so I keep all those parts together. And I put all the batteries in the case so that while I'm working, I'm not losing anything and everything's still kept safe. So let's begin. So notice on the device you have 4 screws in the nose cone. You have those 2 support beams on the side. You have 4 screws on each side, and then on the very back you have those 4 screws that are holding it together. There's a clip on the back next to the battery, so once you get those screws out, you're going to have to use a screwdriver or something to pop it off. But it's pretty straightforward. Just be careful you're not breaking the plastic in there, because this is all plastic. You know, you're using a metal screwdriver, it's easy to break something. Okay, so I'm just showing you all the areas where the screws are. There's those, and there's actually 2 underneath the gimbal, the camera, that once you get the nose cone off, you have to, pop up the gimbal to get access to them. But if you notice I'm taking the nose cone off, it's pretty straightforward. You got the 4 screws, and you use a star head screw. I'm not sure the exact size, but if you have a set that has a bunch of different sizes, that should cover you when you're taking it off. There you go. Be careful you don't lose those screws. So if you have like shag carpet or something like that, those screws fall on the ground, you're out of luck. You're gonna have to use a magnet to find them. So this is what I was talking about. Underneath that gimbal, you have those rubber grommets or whatever you want to call them. You can actually just pull them through without, you know, they're pretty sturdy, pretty strong. They won't get damaged. But those are the two screw holes I'm telling you about. Just use a Phillips head to get in there. And be careful when you're taking those screws off with the Phillips head that you're not, you know, stripping the tops of those, because if you do, obviously you're kind of you have to find some replacements, and then when you put it back, you're gonna have a problem taking those parts off again. So there you go, the nose cone is off. I took those screws off the bottom of the gimbal, and that's the small screwdriver, the Phillips head screwdriver that I told you about. You know, if you have glasses, you know, normally those screwdrivers that you can use to take apart glasses, you know, that's the size that you need. And then, you know, there's a star head screwdriver that I'm taking the support beams off with. So there's two on the back on each side, and then you got the four on the support beam, you got the four on the nose cone, and then obviously on the other side you got similar screws that you need to take out. Sorry for the blurring there. You know, I hope you're not epileptic or something like that. You're having seizures. Anyway, there you have it. We're almost done. Okay, so got the support beams off the side, and now we're going to tackle the back. We got some 4 screws there, and then notice those small teeth on the back. I use the magnetizer, and this helps if you with the small screws. So if you're taking them off, you know, it'll stick to the top of the screwdriver. You're not losing the screws and not falling on the carpet. So there you go. Go ahead and press firmly. Make sure when you're turning that, you don't, it's not slipping out like that, like I just dropped the screwdriver, but go back in and just make sure you're kind of pushing firmly in there, so that you're not messing the teeth up on the screw. There I decided, you'll notice later in the movie that I used a vinyl paint, which is a plastic coating, so that I didn't have to really paint around that clear plastic where the light shines through. So I could just paint over it, and then once it dried, I could just, you know, take my finger and just, you know, scrape off the paint off of the white clear plastic. You wouldn't be able to do that with regular spray paint, but the vinyl plastic is removable. I mean, the vinyl paint is removable. So there I am. You know, you got to be careful there, because there is underneath that, you'll notice that there is a board, and you're sticking a screwdriver in there. You don't want to damage any of those components in there, because they don't actually sell that on the DJI website. They do sell all the caps, so if you damage that, you can easily, you know, just order a new one. But DJI takes forever to get the parts back because they're in China, so careful with that. So now I'm going to take the top portion of the cover off. I was a little leery at first to pull those off because I didn't want to crack the body of the cover, But if you notice the screw holes on the back that go around the battery, you got the two right there, and then on the very front you have two that are screw holes that kind of, if you pry it off, it'll eventually snap off. But just be careful when you're pulling that off. Notice there on the back that there's that black piece that's on the top. That's the GPS unit. So if you damage that, you'd have to, just be very careful when you pull that off, because there is a wire that is connected to the frame of your drone. You can use that same small Phillips head screwdriver to pull off the GPS. You're going to have to unscrew it to free the cover. So I use electrical tape to actually tape that to the body so that I'm not damaging it when I'm moving it around, flipping it around, and taking off the parts. Notice I'm prying off that bottom plastic. There's no screws that hold that together. There's just double-sided tape. But don't use a knife in there, because there's these little plastic pegs that go into the bottom base, and if you use a knife, you'll cut those off, and you'll have a hard time putting it back on. But if you do happen to break one of those off, you can probably use super glue and just glue it to the body. Make sure you don't, you want to keep that adhesive on there so that you can stick it back later. And that, notice in the beginning of the video I had double-sided tape. If that does come off, you could just, put some double-sided tape on there. But make sure you get a thin one, because you don't want to get the thick stuff, because it'll have a gap on there. You don't want any gaps on your finished drone after you painted it. I used a sandwich bag to actually push those pieces down so that so I don't get the sticky film dirty. I just flip it over. I'm going to actually use that when I'm painting it, so that you'll notice at the end of the video how I do it. I just lay it down and start painting on top, and that way the adhesive does not get any paint on it. So there's all the parts, almost ready to paint. That's the double-sided tape I was telling you about. This one is actually a thick one, but you want to get a thinner one for the back. But like I said, if you keep that adhesive on there, that double-sided tape that it came with, you should be fine. So these are the two. This is a cool shot of both of the Inspire, one on the Pro and then one on the regular standard one. Just getting ready to paint. Here's all the parts laid out in the garage. And I have this one I'm using for one of them, and I have the black matte paint, and then the yellow I'm going to use on the trim for the standard Inspire one. And then here's that Flexi Dip, which is that vinyl paint that comes off. Make sure when you paint, you want to paint evenly. Use just 8 inches away, and just smooth, steady strokes as you're going across the parts there. You want to go in all different angles, because you want to make sure that even the backs of those are painted. So you want to make sure that all sides, since it's white on the bottom, if you miss something, it'll show up. So you probably want to do 2 or 3 coats. Make sure you look at the paint that you buy, and you follow the instructions, and make sure when you're painting, you're in a ventilated area, because it's not healthy. Obviously, you'll be passing out in the garage. So just go ahead and make sure you get even coverage across it. And make sure you don't put the spray too close, because if you do, you'll get runs in the paint, and you do not want that. So there you go. Even a hack like myself can paint. You notice, if you keep coming back, make sure you let it dry. I made a mistake of coming back in every 5 minutes and picking it up and putting my fingers on it, and then adding smudges. So just let it dry for 24 hours, and you can come in there every 3 hours and just do another coat. You want to make sure it has evenly coated and has probably multiple coats on there so that when you have scratches they don't show up. There you go, the finished product. There's the Pro, there's a Standard. Red and black is my favorite combination, and I did like a Steeler black. I don't like the Steelers, but anyway. So you notice that, there you go, pretty good. Even a hack can make an Inspire 1 look good.